Brazilians. And I can tell you this because I used to develop products for Brazilians. Brazilians consumers are very demanding for excellence, and they are very kind of, hard to satisfy, and they are very diverse. And so how can you develop one product to satisfy the Brazilian? It's very tough. And so they seek excellence and they seek this differentiation, but rooted in the Brazilian biodiversity. So that's one of the big things for us. On top of that, as IFF, IFF is one of the leaders on the Brazilian market, with over 75 years commitment to the Brazilian market. We have, our headquarters is in Sao Paulo, production in Rio, and are spread all over the country. So for these two reasons, Brazil is so important for us. On top of this, Brazil is home of the greatest biodiversity on the planet. So we cannot miss Brazil. And of course, where else we can, do more good type of takes, shape, where we do innovation with purpose. And ultimately, we take this innovation from Brazil and to the world. And so this slide sums up the why we want to do it in Brazil. Now, again, the key component in there and how we want to really execute on our ambition in Brazil is through our partnership with the Reservas Votorantim. And this partnership is key for us. And I think, needless to say, I'm not going to talk about Reservas Votorantim. You saw how committed Reservas Votorantim is towards the conservation efforts and, land management efficiencies and all that. So we are very happy to be partners. And this partnership gives us access to a unique biome, and that's the Atlantic forest biome. And so together with the forest, and this is where you see the goal, us with the Reservas Votorantim and the forest, this is where we want to go. Now, this strategic partnership also is I would say, is very important. Why? Because it ushers for IFF a new chapter. You might tell me, oh, you have 14 already different platforms. And yes, but this is a very important chapter. It's unique. And at the heart of this initiative, we will have a lab. We will have a forest lab embedded inside the Reservas Votorantim. And that's key for us. And that will give us access to over 1,000 native species, and will make gladly IFF the first, I would say, fragrance house to be located there and to create what we call a bridge. And this bridge is between the scientific team that will be there working closely with the Reservas Votorantim team and the extended team of IFF, which is located in Graz, in New York, in New Jersey, in Spain, in China. So that will be the bridge. And needless to say, this bridge will allow two additional things. First, it will drive more attention to the Atlantic forest. It will shed more light on the forest. And second, it will bring novel ingredients to business segments like beauty, like fragrance. And so it's a win-win combination that we are doing here. And I will stop there, and I'm not going to annoy you with more of my slides. Just more details about our collaboration. It covers technically three different, I would say, phases. The first one is the bioprospection. We need to land on few species of interest for us. And so that's what we call bioprospection. So hand in hand with David and his team and the LMR team from IFF, we'll land on and we'll select the species. Then we'll move it to phase 2. And the phase 2 is really doing the research and development. And there we'll be able to do, all the crop selection and the multiplication strategies. And finally, we need to scale and commercialize, because the two pillars are good. We need to land on the third pillar to make it happen. And here, a very important part, which is we need to, enable the technology and crop transfer to local farmers. Our objective, again, is to impact positively the community. And we cannot do that if we don't reach this level. Okay. Now, I started my talk by saying, seeing is believing. And I had the pleasure and the honor to be hosted by David a couple of months ago. And really, I saw, and I'm now a believer. I believe in the vision, and I believe that we really can innovate with nature, and most importantly, we can innovate with nature from Brazil to the world. And That's my last slide, and that's for sure. It's a video. David showed you the Atlantic forest. This is what we've done on LinkedIn for us to announce this partnership. Very short, but just we were super proud of this partnership, and this is the sequence we've made on LinkedIn to share with the world that we are very happy to shed light on your work and to shed light on the forest itself. So thank you so much, and thank you for this partnership, David.
Well, guys, thank you. And now we are, if you have some questions, doubts, it would be a pleasure to discuss with you a little more about.
Yes. How many people at Reservas Votorantim do you guys employ, and are they scientists, biologists? What are they?
I say in the last 13 years, we developed several partnerships with the universities, researchers, and so on in Brazil, in different areas, okay? All this knowledge we publish in your website and in the universities that we create these partnerships. Part of this knowledge is we develop to understand the potential of biodiversity. For instance, 70 years ago, we developed the first DNA mapping in 67 plants in the Atlantic forest. This knowledge now I pass to IFF to discover inside these plants, for instance, if you have some potential in these plants. It's one part of this partnership. Other part is all the research that we develop in our nurseries, in our biodiversity center. Together with the research of IFF now, we share this knowledge to verify if perhaps in the seeds, the flowers, and I don't know what part of the plants could be a part that we discover the new very good fragrance for IFF, for instance. Okay, and the idea is the base nature research, all the partnerships, we spread this information around the university and so on. And now the focus research in products, we start together to discover new products. It's a new history in Reservas Votorantim. Okay.
And from our end, if I may add, also, since we will have a location inside the forest, and this location, think about it as a virtual bridge to the extended R&D across the globe for IFF. In fact, that will allow us to mobilize different expertise, not necessarily in Brazil, to do the analysis, to help deciphering, everything from the peaks that you see on a GC all the way to how you use it, all that. So, but we're very happy, and again, to have this lab located as close as possible to the nurseries, to the forest. It's important. It's important.
Like a list of plants that target plants that we are looking for in the Atlantic forest, specifically, like native.
From the Atlantic forest?
Yeah.
We have some suspicions, but we did not yet land on the list A that we want to take forward. I think right now we are finishing the lab. We'll have someone based there 100%. And so we are in the process of really landing on what can be the top 10, 20 to kickstart this journey. Yeah.
The interesting things in this partnership is that we really start a bioprospection in large scale. We don't know exactly what the plants we are finding the products, but the idea is the last 13 years of research in Reservas Votorantim, we present to IFF, and together we will thinking about all this potential. Okay.
Wondering how does the partnership model works? What is IFF bringing to the table?
Yeah.
Will be like royalties from the products in the future? How does it work?
At this very first phase, in fact, our ambition is to land on the species of interest and to push this all the way to, can we take the species and one or two species or whatever, and impact positively the community around. Now, in all fairness, we did not yet land on, a commercial deal. If you have the product and this, the ingredient in this product, how much you will sell. No. I think these will come once we land on the overall view of what is the species, where we can produce it efficiently, and what's the yield that the species will get us. And I would push it a bit further, where it's going to be distributed, in which product. Is it a cosmetic beauty product? Is it a fine fragrance product? All these parts of the equation are, as of now, a bit unknown for us. So it's hard to me and David to sit down and say, oh, you take 5%, I give you 2%. It's difficult. So what we decided to do is we engage in the science. And once we start landing on the species of interest, we immediately try to build a business case around the species, because we will be a bit more precise than just saying, hey, it will be 5%, 2%. But yes, obviously, part of our commitment and engagement is towards the community, means, beyond the regulatory and the Nagoya and the CBD commitment. Of course, these are strong commitment and we live with that. But we need to impact the community, and this project is meant to impact the community. So short answer is we don't have yet the species, and hence it's hard for me to tell you exactly what will be the percentage and how.
Down kind of people that you want to prioritize, are you planning to harvest them directly in the forest, or do you move those species to a greenhouse to be able to use them in that type of environment? And I guess that the underlying question is, if it is the former, how do you protect the overall biodiversity of the forest going in and out and kind of removing that component?
In your
Please.
In your biodiversity center, we develop the production of the plants using seeds of the forest. The first stage, we present to IFF these plants that we are producing in your biodiversity center. Together, our biodiversity center, we have an orchard. I forgot the name. Stufa. Greenhouse. Thank you. Greenhouse that we are developing some research too. Then we have a lot of job to do in these two places first. And of course, my guys inside the forest are looking for opportunities too. If you find something interesting, we bring for our biodiversity center, present to EFF, and then produce it in biodiversity center. And in fact, the idea is not extract directly from the forest, but use the forest of the inspiration to bring to the biodiversity center and produce this. And if we find something interesting, then we produce this species in our biodiversity center and start this phase that Charbel told to us, because we need that the farmers in the region produce this species.
Yeah, around the forest, not in. So it's staging, yeah.
And I think it's not allowed to do extraction sites inside the reserve, because it makes part of our when you have major forests, we need some permissions and license to do some extraction. So that's why it's better to discover it, conserve it, and for sure replant it and do some resistance. Small animals to try to bring it back, I think. So another quick question about, for example, the origin of the plant, because we have an experience in Southern Bahia that we used to have a plant, a native plant, and extract some essential oils, and the the compounds is really different when you have different amounts of irradiation or sunlight, or even different types of soil. I'm really interested in this type of orange certifying, variety that only occurs in that area, or even some other secondary components that is important for your type of product, but only occur in
Yes.
Specific.
100%.
Yeah.
We are very interested in that, and this is exactly what drives us to have 14 different platforms. And each platform is pretty much dedicated to very few species, because what we consider is that we respect where the species is growing as much as we can. And so assessing these differences becomes the work of the LMR, and they are experts in that. So I have 11 PhD in LMR, only dedicated to running varietal selection and understanding why this plant grows here better than there, and what is it? Is it the environment? Is it the genetic of the plant? So we do a lot of mix and match. So 100% we will be interested in that. And that's for me the first pillar of the activity. So again, we choose the species, and then we'll analyze everything surrounding the species. Is it gonna grow better here, there? And if you grow it in this place, is the yield good? And is the quality of the ingredient is good versus the other place? So all these are factored in. Needless to say, it's a very discovery journey. This is what your question earlier as well. I cannot give, because it's still an early phase. And we like really to project what can be the success based on the 14 different platforms that we have. So, but to your point, yes, we will be doing this type of work. That's the expertise that we have.
And you remember that in Ribeira Valley,
Yeah.
in the south of Ribeira Valley, we have a great opportunity to change the farmers.
Yeah.
Because today, yes, exactly. Then you have a very good opportunity to create value in this place. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate for the initiative. I think this is a case of what Brazil really needs to do a lot more of this type of partnerships. There's a lot of value still undiscovered. True that we know less than 1% of the species that are estimated to exist. So, and secondly, piggybacking on the inquiry about traceability, if IFF, given that diversity and geographical length of sourcing, if it's something that's currently driving the traceability of where the harvest happens.
Oh, 100%. We're extremely strict in this, and you've seen some logos on the slides from a certification standpoint. So we take it very seriously, and so we take it under the angle of first risk management, and second traceability and transparency. These are the three things that we push across the 14 different platforms in order for us to once the certification is there, to really live and execute on this vision. And of course, certification bodies, you can have many ones. We Fair for Life is the one that we work a lot with, just because they have the depth of assessing the corporate social responsibility, the environmental social practices, and also the fair trade approach in a very deep manner. So yes, to your point, we are very careful about the traceability, the transparency, the risk, and hence most of our products are certified by external schemes and bodies, 100%. Yeah.
Are you going into all the houses within Brazil, or do you expect that you have to take that material out of Brazil for any part of the economy?
No, physically, we don't need to take material out of Brazil, let alone the complexity of shipping. And I think, and this is why the lab in the forest will help us execute, means the extract, the preliminary analysis. And once we have the preliminary analysis, we can dispatch this data. It's a data dispatching to different places in the world to help us complete the pieces of the puzzle, if you want. But we don't foresee sending materials out of Brazil at this point. Yeah.
Sounds like from one of your first videos, the reservation on the I don't know what is it, a preserve? Is it kind of just conserved forest land that you did?
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's kind of multiple revenue streams supporting the
Conservation.
sure, the conservation, the tourism,
Yes.
some agro activities.
In Legado das Águas, no. In the on the other or other reserves, yes.
And maybe like, this research.
We have. Yes, we have now many business happen in Legado das Águas. Okay, the first business that we developed was the ecotourism. Okay, after this we start projects with using legal compensations that we could receive in your area regarding Brazil law. After this, we establish a carbon project inside the reserve. All these parts of this puzzle, we create a business plan 13 years ago, and the last part of the puzzle is the bioprospection. Okay, in your vision, the conservation, we need to have many activities inside the forest to maintain the forest. Unfortunately, we don't have a silver bullet that solve the problem to maintain the forest. And this concept we call the multiple use of the land. The same hectare we can extract value in several different businesses. Okay, and now we are established the last part of the puzzle in your vision. That is the bioprospection. Okay.
Is the scent industry or maybe the broader kind of biosciences industry for being able to value that type of like non-intensive land use? Like, is that something that, how do you evaluate what areas are suitable for that type of research use case? And, I'm curious, like, is it something you can replicate in the United States, or does the United States not have anything even close to like enough biodiversity to make that a use case here?
I can start, and probably David, you can. I think from an IFF standpoint, when we look at this, I would say partnership, we look at the markets above all, because the markets, and again, our strong commitment to the biggest market in the LATAM is strong. And we estimate that the market is around 6 billion when it talks in Brazil, when we consider the fragrance market. And it's very healthy, growing at around 5.25% CAGR between now and 2030. So there is a potential locally for whatever we will get from a fragrance standpoint. I've mentioned many times cosmetic products as well, because that's a different, I would say, segment, which is even bigger than the fragrance. And so if I have to answer, I would say, depending on the species and what we get out of there, we have two huge potential markets already in Brazil that we need to serve as an industry. And that alone gives us, an incentive to continue and push and land on the right thing. And this, not to mention what we can do, if we take the inspiration broader from Brazil to the world. So I don't know if that helps a little bit, you're answering your question. And the second part is where to do the upskilling and the production and all that. And as we said, the first step is taking into the pépinière, into the greenhouse, studying it, then understanding where we need to plant it, the conditions and all that, and see, can we ask the farmers around the forest to plant it or not? It's great. Or can we find another solution? And that will also be very key in the decision-making towards which market we go and which opportunity. But already the numbers that I gave are huge. Like when we say 6 billion growing at 5.25, between now and 2030, it's big. And that's on the fragrance alone.
as a way to create market value for conserved land and for the biodiversity on a parcel of land, what's the scale of potential of fragrance or cosmetics or biosciences to being able to value that, those areas as like sources of research or, DNA data? Or will that opportunity be, given how much land there is out there, maybe it's not something that would end up.
It's not limiting, I would say, because the land is available. And there is a question about volume and impacting, whether the beauty industry or the fragrance industry. The beauty industry needs way bigger volume, but also we can use potentially in the process. We can stop the process earlier to use bigger volume to go to the beauty industry. The fragrance, we continue a bit more. We extract, we need more biomass to get small, but the usage is smaller as well in the final product. So, very good question. I don't know where we will land ultimately, in all honesty. And again, each species will be providing different yields. So there is this also to take into account. I don't know, David, if you have any additional light on that.
We defended that it's possible. First of all, we don't know what we find, what kind of species we need to produce. Okay. Then could be that some species could be. Imagine that we discover that some part of the fruits of some plant, a specific plant, is good for the process, IFF process. Instead of one opportunity is planting inside the forest areas that the agriculture has in Brazil, because in Brazil, each territory that we have agriculture must maintain at least 20% of forest. It's an obligation in Brazil. But inside this part of the forest, we can plant, for instance, this species. Okay, it's one opportunity, one case. Other case, in Legado do Cerrado, or other reserve, we are developing a methodology that in Brazil we call it integration between agriculture and forest. In the middle of the plantation, we create lines of specific trees that we have interest. In your case, it's a seed called baru. We are planting this kind of thing. So another opportunity. What means that we can produce what we discover in many different ways without using any more hectare of forest for this. We can increase the biomass inside the forest or using the agriculture lands to include this kind of operation, for instance. Okay, but we don't know yet. We need to discover first what kind of plant we discover. Okay.
This is all happening within a reserve, so presumably you're also getting some emission reductions that you can that's
Perhaps
certifiable, right? I mean, those emission reductions, they have a certain value. Like if you can prove that
yes,
they're high impact, that they're part of a reserve that's also providing alternative sources of income. Buyers are willing to pay more for those than just conservation projects without any diversified income stream. So that could be a way of quantifying, how much it adds.
True. When we discover and start the process, of course, it's a very good point to observe. Well, I think that our time is finished. I would like to thank you, everybody, and invite you we continue our conversation in a coffee. Could be? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
É que assim. Só.
Não,
switch. Switch. Não, é que